I'm Hugh Hewitt. Josh Holmes is the host of the Ruthless podcast, along with Comfortably Smug Michael Duncan, John Ashbrook. He joins me now. Mr. Holmes, it's a serious day, but I got to begin by noting I did listen to your Scott Cooper interview today, the new director of the OPM. I was impressed by that, but I got to say, a little hurt. I was the former acting director, deputy director, and general counsel of OPM, and it's okay to call him really good, but I mean, the best ever by a lot.
What?
I mean, better than anyone who's ever been in that office before. Because, you know, Connie Horner and I did our best, Josh, back in the Reagan years. We did our best.
Hugh, I thought of you immediately. Smug asked the question that you're referring to. He reached out to a friend of his who knew Scott pretty well, and this was his compliment. Not ours, but as soon as it escaped his mouth, I was like, oh boy, you're going to get some hate mail from Hugh on that one.
Well, I got him. I sent him a DM immediately. I said, shrapnel received. Now let's get very serious. I thought your guys' tribute to Charlie was fabulous over the last 3 shows. Now, I believe that you have a responsibility. I think you've got the most effective political podcast in America. Other people do other things very well. But you guys know politics. You know how to motivate the troops the way Charlie did. You've picked up the flag, you'll run with it. Those turning point chapters aren't going to go away, but they're going to need a lot of guidance that Charlie used to give them. And I think the 4 fellas, the 4 horsemen, you're the guys. Do you feel that responsibility?
No, look, the way I look at it is there's no one person that's ever going to replicate what it is that Charlie did on a day in and day out basis, right? He was a content provider. He was an organizer. He stood up for the first time this entire entity that was forward-looking into a place where the progressive left thought they had a codlock for generations as far as the eye can see in young men and women, college students, and that kind of thing. But as I look at it, it's the same way that we've embraced it with Ruthless writ large and the way that you handle things, is that we all have a role, right? All of us have to pick up the shovel and start doing what we do and try to play a role in not only just replicating what it is that Charlie has done, but understanding that now more than ever is the time that is the most important, that people hear from us, that we're not intimidated
now,
or scared.
One of the things you
nervous.
said today, Josh, was I thought we were all on the First Amendment bus. And we're not all on the First Amendment bus, obviously, and it becomes a different proposition when the radical left is saying, we're going to shoot these people. And I don't know what that's going to play. I think Kash Patel is the right guy for this. He's catching a lot of incoming for conservatives because he will mix it up with the left. And, yeah, he got something wrong on a tweet. That's of no consequence to me. Do you think the conservatives understand how deep the deep state is? And I never use that term except in regard to a small portion of the FBI. But I do think he's got an uphill battle at the Bureau.
Oh, no question about it. And I think he's doing his very best. I have a lot of confidence that he gets to the bottom of things, whether it's politically popular or not. He obviously catches a ton of heat from the left just because of his public persona prior to his government service. But look, I think the larger issue here, Hugh, is whether we're going to grapple with a very real and growing issue on the left. We went through the first 4 years of the Biden administration, where you were dealing with a federal government that thought it was okay to censor and shut down speech altogether. And I think that was a byproduct of this modern left that believes that unless they're saying exactly what it is that they want to hear, that your opinion is not only not valid in a public sphere, but it almost ought to be eliminated whatsoever. Now, granted, that's an extreme point of view, and I hope it's a smaller contingent of the far left than it appears to be these days. But honestly, it's pretty scary out there. And until we grapple with these very real situations that are happening amidst a completely vacant leadership circle on the left in the Democratic Party, this is going to continue to be a problem for all of us.
Okay, I want to bounce an idea off of you. I have a column in the Washington Examiner tomorrow that begins, we need a Kirk commission. Now, the Warren Commission gave commissions a bad name, but I think you're around Congress. You're a veteran. When the 9/11 Commission was stood up, maybe not. You might not be old enough. But the 9/11 Commission did a good job. And I'm not looking for laws. I'm looking for answers as to what the deep web is doing to youngsters. And I mean the 18, 16 to 24-year-old radicals that are tossing themselves out on the street like this killer. Do you think that there is any role for a genuine, is it even possible to have a bipartisan commission look at the web? We can't legislate the web because of the First Amendment, but we can certainly warn people about what's on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a larger societal issue, much less of a government issue, but you have to have a national conversation. I think when you deal with Congress and commissions and things like that, where it often leads is in order to produce anything at all, you're going to have to do some level of both sidesism. And in my view, that's just absolutely not applicable to the situation that we find ourselves. I mean, just today, you see people crowded out in front of a New York courthouse cheering and exclaiming joy in that there were various components of charges against Luigi Mangione, the assassin of the United Health CEO,
Brian Thompson,
for being for being dropped. And like, look, that's real. That's happening. That if that exists in our society, we are missing something very, very significant. And you know, this is my personal opinion. I think banning, shutting down, doing all these things from a government top down, it only exacerbates the problem. But there are things that governments can do. And I do think some fact finding, as you suggested here, Hugh, is probably necessary.
Well, let me close by asking you. You covered this today on Ruthless, and people should go listen to it. A Schumer shutdown is coming, and it's inevitable. And you guys, you've lived it before. You know how bad it is. You know there can't be any Republican fingerprints on it. I don't think the Democrats care. I really don't think they care. They're lost. Well, what do you think?
I think both of these things are intertwined that we're talking about. You have a leadership structure within the Democratic Party that is afraid of their own base. You recall that article that was printed in Politico a couple of months back that said that they're afraid of their own base. Their base is saying that we want blood, and they're concerned and afraid of all of that. And Chuck Schumer is a perfect embodiment of all of it. He knows that in order to stay on top of the Democratic Party in the United States Senate, he has to do irrational and dumb things that are not in the best interest of this country. But instead of, like, you know, actual leaders do, instead of standing up to that and saying, like, I don't want a job if I'm going to run this country into the dirt, he's more than happy to placate that side of the thing, provided his name is above the door at the end of the day. And that's where we find ourselves in this government shutdown. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But I do know that handing the microphone to Donald Trump for as long as he wants it, after the Democrats appear to do what they're going to do here, is not really a bad thing for conservatives.
Josh Holmes, thank you for joining me. Follow him on X at Holmes. Josh, listen to the Ruthless podcast. I genuinely believe it is the most important podcast for our young political class, anyone under 40 years old who wants to both know what is going on, what they are fighting for, and how to articulate it while having some laughs, because it's important, even in the darkest of times, to have some laughs. And there are no better guys than the fellows at Ruthless Podcast for doing that. Thank you, Josh.